how can we make reading fun and engaging? And gawin pang mas kaaya-aya para naman sa mga readers na. So, hindi lang to para sa mga hirap magbasa, but it's also for the readers already. That can help them improve or have an outlook of reading that it's really fun and engaging. Kapansin-pansin ngayon na ang mga bata, kapag wala silang ginagawa, they tend to grab their phone and play, sit still most of the time as long as they have their phone with them, right? They never even grab a book to read. Yun yung nakakalungkot na ngayon. Kaya I'm sure marami sa mga parents at sa mga teachers ang humaharap sa tanong na how to teach kids to love reading nang hindi natin sila pinipilit. Therefore, I am here to tell you how to make reading fun for children. And I want to emphasize the word children, which I will give two operational meanings base sa i-discuss natin ngayon. So, one, children or a child pertains to a person at an early age. So, alam naman natin na kapag kabata, we consider them as a child. Early age pa lang siya. And the other meaning of children that I also want to emphasize here in our discussion is someone who can be considered as a child when it comes to reading. Yung hindi masyadong mahilig sa mundo ng pagbabasa. Kumbaga, nasa early stage pa lang siya ng kanyang reading experiences. Hindi ng kanyang age, it's age regardless, but we are talking here about the reading experience. So kung baguhan ka pa lang sa pagbabasa, hindi ka pa masyadong, early years ka pa lang nag-start into loving reading, early years ka pa lang, nasa bagong, kaka-start mo pa lang in reading, or in loving to read, then we can still consider you as a child. Kasi konti pa lang yung experiences mo in reading. Kaya kahit grade 8 ka na, grade 9, or grade 10, or even an adult, pero hindi na-develop yung reading experience mo, or hindi ka pa palabasa, then you can be categorized as child in terms of reading experience. So let's talk about how to make reading fun. A child's brain is hardwired into few elements, like novelty. Novelty that pertains to something new, exciting, or unusual. Curiosity, imagination, hands-on learning, and adventure. So, kapag nakikita ng mga bata na yun ang mga sinabi kong elements sa isang activity, that becomes desirable and fun for your child's brain. So, pag may isang bagay sila na ginagawa that will tackle these elements like novelty, imagination, curiosity, hands-on learning, and adventure, kahit isa man doon, then nagiging desirable yun para sa mga bata. Nagiging engaging na activity yun para sa mga bata. They will tend to do that task kasi na-trigger natin yung brain nila. Now, we need to add these elements into book reading. Now that we know kung ano yung mga makakapagpa-trigger sa brain ng ating mga bata to experience fun or to be considered as fun, then we have to incorporate that into reading. So once these elements are added into reading a book, it gets associated with fun. So how can we do it? Then we have to look for books or reading materials that are related to these elements. Yun yung ibigay natin sa mga bata. This link between fun and reading a book will always remain in your kids for a lifetime. Kapag na-trigger natin yung mga elements na yun at nasana yung mga bata na ma-incorporate na nila yung reading into that element. Once this connection is made forever and your child is now attracted to book reading, after some time, if few of these elements are eliminated, the connection will always remain. Because the element of imagination will empower the rest of the components. Kasi they're already into reading. Naturuan mo na sila kung paano nila mamahalin yung reading. Yun nga, we have to put those elements into their reading material, into their reading activity. So, kapag nandun na yung mga elements na yun, your child will start to engage themselves or himself. Your children will start to engage themselves. And then later on, habang patagal ng patagal, hindi mo namamalayan na yung bata na mismo yung naghahanap ng ganung bagay. Yung bata na mismo yung naghahanap ng books to read. And then pagtanda niya, ma-eliminate man yung mga components na yan, ma-eliminate man yung mga elements na yan, ang matitira dyan ay imagination. Because a reader has a vast imagination. Kahit mawala yung adventure element sa isang book, then a child can still be able to imagine a lot of things as regards the book he or she is reading. Now, if your child sees a book, dahil na-incorporate na natin yung mga elements na yun into reading and na-connect na natin yung reading into the word fun, therefore, whenever na makakakita sila ng book, then mag-i-illuminate or iilaw yung kanilang fun bulb sa brain nila. And they will consider now reading as a fun activity. Adding these elements, I know that it takes extra, or adding these elements do take some extra time and efforts. I know that. At first, it may be tiring and it may be frustrating, but once you see your child gets a book to read, you'll feel really fulfilled because your efforts are getting paid off. Sa una talaga, nakakapagod. Sa una parang nakaka-give up. Kasi minsan gusto natin, pag binigay natin sa bata tong book na to, sabihin natin sa kanya magbasa ka, or you should love reading. Gusto natin makikita agad natin yung results. But that's never the case. It takes a lot of time for you to learn to love something. So here's what you can do at home. First, ito para sa mga parents, anong pwede nating gawin para ma-incorporate natin yung mga elements na yon, or para ma-engage natin yung mga bata, ma-bring natin, madala natin sila into reading experience. So first, like what I said earlier, let's make a mini library or a reading corner for your child. And also try to put books in places where your child stays so much. For example, nag-i-stay siya sa sala, nakaupo siya sa sala most of the time, dun siya naglalaro, then let's bring books din. Maglagay tayo ng books dun sa sala para whenever na nandun siya sa lugar na yon, meron siya laging books na magagrab or makukuha niya. Children are more likely to get attached to something that is tangible. So gusto nila na nakikita nila yung isang bagay. Kaya why not pakitaan natin sila ng isang location sa bahay kung saan pwede silang magbasa, kung saan mai-enjoy nila yung pagbabasa. And they will also consider it as their nook, their nest, kumbaga sa ibon. By making a reading area or just a small reading space, we are actually already setting their mood. Dahil doon, pag nakita nila na may magandang place na tatambayan sa bahay, they'd be very excited to use that area. And get that momentum. Bilang magulang, kunin mo na yung momentum na yon na gusto ng bata, na excited ang bata. Gawin mo yan into your advantage. So get that momentum, and then consider that as your advantage. Excited kang bata kasi ginagawa ko to. Then, let's use that excitement into bringing them in the world of reading. Number 2, get a variety of books. Storybooks, for that matter, of different genres. Also, you can even have different type of books like touch books, touch and feel books, flip the flap. Those are the examples of different kinds of books na pwede nating ilagay sa ating reading corner or sa bahay nyo. In this way, you will also understand what interests him or her most. Kasi makikita mo kung ano yung laging kinukuha ng bata. Makikita mo dyan kung ano yung gusto niyang basahin or gusto niyang laging hawakan. So, kung malalaman na natin what interests them, then yun yung pwede natin gamitin into your advantage again. Bumili tayo ng mas maraming books na tungkol sa bagay na yon. Bigyan natin siya ng mas madaming resources, ng mas maraming options. Number 3, get a book appropriate of their age. If they are still developing or at an early age, buy books that are colorful and have a lot of pictures than words. Do not just buy books because you know the story. Dahil sabihin mo, ay alam ko yung story na yan, maganda yan, nabasa ko yan. Na-enjoy ko basahin yung story na yan. You and the child are different. Let's not put ourselves, kapag bibili tayo ng books para sa bata, ang isipin natin, let's focus on the child itself. Anong may experience ng bata kapag binasa niya to? Do not focus on your experience nung binasa mo yung libro, but focus on the child who will read it. Will he or she be interested in reading it? Ano yung sabi ko kanina? There are factors that we have to consider. We have to consider their gender, their age. We also have to consider then yung kanilang readiness. So hanapin natin, ano ba dito yung bagay na makakakuha ng interest ng bata nito? So let's also try to look for the elements that we discussed earlier in the books that we will get for the child. So don't forget, is it appropriate for the recipient of the book? Will he or she be interested pag yun yung binili natin? Also, you can even make them choose which book they want to read. That's always the best option. Fourth is engagement. Allow them first or allow them to be engaged in what they are about to read. Make them feel excited to know more. Make it engaging or intriguing sa una pa lang. We may ask them questions like, let's say, I have a book here na binabasa ng pinsan ko. It's her favorite book. So it's entitled Funny Lunch. We may ask questions for them to be engaged. Una, bago natin basahin yung storybook, let's ask kung itong title nito ay Funny Lunch. How do you think we can ask, example, how do you think can a lunch be funny? Paano magiging funny ang isang lunch? Ano kaya yung nakakatawang lunch na yon? And then, hayaan natin silang magbigay ng mga hula nila, ng mga sagot nila. Just allow your children or your students to give any answers na maiisip nila. And to reward them if they can guess it right. And reward them if they will be able to guess it right after niya mabasa yung book. This now called as a positive reinforcement. Ayan. So they have something also to look forward to kapag binabasa nila yung book na yun. Because they want to answer the question. They want to be able to get the right answer dun sa tinanong mo kanina. And fifth, the most important point that works is doing fun play activities related to that book or to that particular story that they are reading. When we say activity, this does not pertain to simple questions to be given or to be answered by your child or by the student after niyong basahin yung story. So, hindi lang siya simple comprehension questions. These activities should have the element of hands-on learning or bodily kinesthetic activities. related to that book, because a child will relate that activity to what he or she is reading. We want naman talaga that our child to experience, not only to imagine kung ano yung nababasa nila sa books. We want to give them the experience as much as possible. And that's how we can make reading fun and engaging. And when they enjoy it, their fun bulb will light and will realize that reading is fun and not just a plain, boring activity. So we have to think of activities na pwede nating i-relate sa book na binabasa nila. Let's say, ito nga, Funny Lunch, yung title ng book na to. It's a story about a dog na chef siya and mahilig siyang magluto. So, we can make an activity of, bago natin simulan yung mismong pagbabasa or sa unang page pa lang, kasi sa unang page nakalagay dito, my name is Max. I am not a dog. So that's intriguing. Hindi siya dog. But, ang sabi niya, I am a great chef. In this part of the book, instead of just explaining kung ano yung chef, instead of just telling your kids na ito yung meaning ng chef, sila yung mga nagluluto, why not make an activity? So, an activity that we can do here is to make a toque or a chef's cap, yun yung mga nasa ulo nila, out of bond paper. Sobrang simple lang naman niya. Gagawa ka lang ng bilog, and then sa taas, yung pang-cover ng cap, and that's already a toque na pwede mong ipasuot sa bata. And then sasabihin mo sa kanila na that's what we call as a toque or a chef's hat, a chef's cap. Yun yung sinusuot nila kapag nagluluto sila. Yan. So, we already have an activity. You didn't just explain to them kung ano yung chef, kung ano yung meaning ng word na chef, but you let them experience kung paano maging chef. Another activity that we can do in this book is pizza making. Kasi in this part of the story, Max, the dog, naggawa siya ng pizza for the other animals na umu-order sa kanya. So, gumawa siya ng pizza. And in that way, after reading the book, you can also make a pizza. You can personalize your own pizza. It's just a slice of bread and konting ingredients lang na pwede nilang gamitin in making their own pizza. Or kung ayaw mo naman ng ganon, ayaw mo ng food-related, pwede kang gumawa ng mag-cut ng mga colored papers, kunyari yun yung pepperoni or cheese, na pwede natin ilagay sa isang bilog, gawa din tayo ng bilog, that will be considered as the dough itself. So, there are a lot of activities na pwede natin maisip ipagawa sa bata. Sa grade 7, meron tayong story doon kapag nandun na kami sa Bread of Salt na story. Lagi kaming merong activity, we call it Pandesal Festival. So I ask my students to buy their own pandesal and then decorate it the way they want to. So magkakaroon kami ng festival of pandesal and i-decorate nila kung ano gusto nilang lagyan ng chocolate. Meron doon mga ginawa nilang pandesal burger. So makikita natin yung creativity ng mga bata as they are doing the activity. And they will be able to relate to that activity sa nabasa nilang story. In that way, reading is really fun. We can make reading fun for children. At kapag nag-enjoy sila sa ginagawa nilang activity, bago, during, or pagkatapos nilang magbasa, then they will find reading really engaging. They will look forward to their next activity. They will look forward to the next story na babasahin nila. And once the child enjoy these tasks, his or her fun bulb will light and will enjoy reading.